Hello and welcome to the Screencast of Group 5. We are going to present to you our findings for our research on engaging aging employees at Brussels Airlines. We're going to start with an introduction to our topic and proceed with a literature review and the methodology used for this paper. Finally, we will discuss the findings and present our recommendations to the HR management of Brussels Airlines. Our research was conducted at the company Brussels Airlines. This company is the first Belgian airline group and today has flights from and to Brussels, Europe, Africa, and even some American cities. In 2004, SN Brussels Airlines merged with Virgin Express to form the new Brussels Airlines. The company now employs over 3,200 people, of which 31% are over 45 years old. In this project, we want to understand how Brussels Airlines keeps its older employees engaged and see what it could do better. But first, the question, what is an engaged employee? Engagement basically means that an employee has a certain level of commitment towards the company and its vision. Second, why is this so important and what is the link with sustainable HRM? As we have seen in class, increased engagement generally translates into higher productivity, improved performance, and increased happiness. In other words, we expect engagement measures to 1. Increase employee happiness, and 2. Allow employees to live a more fulfilling professional and private life. Ultimately, we believe that this is the goal of sustainable HRM. We've decided to focus our literature review on 3 main axes. First, we've decided to go deeper into the link between engagement and sustainable HRM. As previously mentioned, we expect engagement to allow employees to live more fulfilling lives. However, this can only be achieved if the company, and by the company we mean the HR department, accepts to actively promote the idea of sustainable HRM within the organization. In light of this, we have decided to rely on Hans' paradox theory, which posits that paradoxes can be dealt with using various strategies. As will be made clear by the rest of our presentation, we feel that synthesis strategies, which bring together the 2 opposing poles, will have the most powerful impact. Secondly, we decided to look at the best practices available on the market. From a company point of view, it is clear that the most successful organizations truly embed engagement in their company culture. On the government side, multiple measures have been taken in a broad range of topics, from which we would like to point out pension and taxation benefits, by which the governments try to prevent early retirement and attract employees to longer working lives. It is very interesting to note that there are also the initiatives to support age management implementation in companies, as has been demonstrated in cooperation agreement regarding a more inclusive working life in Norway, or promotion of in-work trainings. Lastly, we looked into the advantages of ramping up engagement efforts in the airline industry. Among other things, we note that engaged employees help airlines achieve better results, both from a financial point of view and in terms of customer loyalty. Finally, an active engagement policy can also be a very useful tool to retain and develop talents within a company. For the research, we made a distinction between the age groups 45 plus and 55 plus. We did this to account for the possibility of early retirement in Belgium and to see if there is a difference in engagement between the employees in both groups. The employees that were interviewed were chosen by the HR manager of Brussels Airlines, but he made sure that there was a good balance between the different age groups and their functions. In total, we conducted 11 interviews. These interviews were semi-structured because of the advantages this brings. For example, you can go deeper into certain aspects and respond to the interviewee's reaction. Our research was of an explorative kind because we wanted to explore the current situation at Brussels Airlines regarding the engagement of older employees. After the interviews, we made a link with the best practices, our literature review, and we made recommendations. Based on the information we gathered, the following strengths and weaknesses were distinguished. First of all, the general awareness of the competition from low-cost airlines is really high throughout the company. There is also an open and easy communication within each department. It is also important to know that almost all employees who work for Brussels Airlines are passionate about the airline industry. The most important deficiency within Brussels Airlines is the fact that there is very low recognition for good work. They do not celebrate success enough, and people don't feel that they are appreciated for a job well done. Another notable deficiency is the lack of commitment towards the vision of the company. Some interviewed employees, for example, think that the vision focuses too much on the customers and too little on the employees. Finally, there is also an insufficient communication across different departments within Brussels Airlines. Considering what has previously been said, we have devised 3 concrete recommendations. First, based on the best practices of Unilever, we urge the management at Brussels Airlines to create surveys that analyze engagement specifically. Why? Because we believe that such surveys will allow management to devise optimal ways of increasing engagement within different age groups or within different functions. Secondly, we push for a review of the in-house training program. Given the company's financial constraints, training is currently kept at the legal minimum requirements, but we believe there is scope for creating training programs that rely on employees' know-how. For example, older employees could, through official training structures, mentor or coach their younger counterparts. In a similar fashion, younger employees who have up-to-date knowledge could help their older colleagues. Last but not least, we recommend setting up Brussels Airlines task forces. These forces would be composed of 5 to 10 employees from different departments and from different age categories. The teams would be asked to tackle very specific issues within the companies, like, for example, we previously identified that the major weakness at the company is the lack of celebration of success. In this respect, it would be interesting to have a task force that would be responsible for collecting, compiling, and then sharing within the organization the most inspirational achievements. We also think that this task force structure would allow employees to relate and to commit more strongly to the company's vision. In conclusion, we can state that there is a willingness of the Brussels Airlines HR department to foster a more collaborative and integrative company culture. Unfortunately, our sample size and the general aim of our research does not allow us to appreciate the extent to which this has already been achieved. What we can state, however, is that there is definitely room for engagement of older employees. Furthermore, our research also shows that there is not a significant difference between the engagement factors of older employees and younger employees. All in all, however, the problem at its root is bigger than this. Our interviews allow us to conclude that sustainable HRM is a totally unknown concept at Brussels Airlines, and this means that the conceptual barrier to implementing sustainable HRM successfully must first be brought down.
Thank you for your attention, and we wish you a pleasant flight.